Welcome to the deep dive. Have you ever felt like the modern world of leadership just constantly demands you be on?
Hmm.
Always ready with a strategy, a model, a checklist, some kind of quick answer.
Yeah, that pressure is definitely there.
It's like you're perpetually scrolling through headlines,
Yeah.
right? Trying to keep up, but what you truly crave are those moments of genuine insight, those,
Uh-huh.
flashes that actually cut through all the noise and stick with you.
Exactly. Something deeper.
Well, today we are embarking on a deep dive into something I think profoundly different. Something designed not just to cut through that noise, but maybe to offer an entirely new way of listening and leading.
Yeah.
We're exploring a truly unique series by Lóng Tíng. It's titled Global Leadership Insights 2030, miniseries Inner Leadership, and it's based on his renowned study companion.
Right. The study companion is quite well known in certain circles.
It is, and this series, it isn't your typical executive summary or just a list of bullet points, not at all.
Right.
Instead, what we'll try to uncover is how this series offers a profound, almost poetic, alternative path to understanding leadership.
Poetic is a good word for it. Reflective, maybe.
Yeah. It's less about ticking boxes or memorizing frameworks and much more about truly seeing, feeling, and, well, shaping the path from within.
Okay, let's unpack this because we're diving into territory that genuinely challenges the status quo a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's fascinating here is precisely how this series chooses such a distinctly different path. It deliberately moves away from the conventional, often, let's say, frenetic world of business advice.
Frenetic is right.
So our mission for you, the listener, is really to provide a kind of quiet orientation to this deeply reflective material, much like the series itself aims to do, actually.
Boy, a quiet orientation. I like that.
We'll guide you through the spirit and the key insights of Lóng Tíng's Cohen-inspired leadership special. You see, it's deliberately not about delivering a checklist of models or, a set of definitive ready-made answers.
Which is what most people expect, right? Exactly. Instead, it's deeply rooted in the power of questions, in genuine reflection, and in an invitation to listen differently, to engage with leadership from a place that's far more internal, more intuitive, and ultimately more sustainable.
Sustainable. That's key.
It's a call to understand leadership not just as something you do, but maybe as something you become. It has that kind of depth, that connection to being, which feels very much in line with his perspective, bridging those ancient ways of knowing with the complexities we face now.
Okay, so when most of us think about leadership, what immediately springs to mind? For me, it's strategic frameworks, management models.
Right. Action plans.
Yeah, clear-cut actionable steps, measurable outcomes. We're kind of conditioned to seek those quick answers, those prescriptive guides that promise success if we just follow the instruction.
The formula.
Exactly. But here's where it gets really interesting and maybe, like you said, a little unsettling for the traditionalist in us. Lóng Tíng's series, right from the very beginning, asserts that it chooses a different path. It purposefully moves away from those familiar structures, challenging our maybe deeply ingrained notions of what effective leadership truly looks like.
It certainly does.
So the question that pops up immediately is, what does it actually mean for leadership to not be about models or checklists? I mean, that's a pretty radical proposition, isn't it?
It is radical. It implies a fundamental shift, a move away from external validation, external metrics, maybe even external pressures,
And towards what?
towards an inner wisdom, perhaps.
Yeah.
Moving from prescribed, often rigid actions to emergent insights, those deeper understandings that arise from reflection and presence,
Yeah.
rather than just pure analysis.
Okay, so less analysis, more reflection.
Not necessarily less analysis, but analysis informed by something deeper. It challenges us to ask, what if the most powerful leadership isn't about having all the answers ready to go, but about cultivating the right questions? Questions that open things up rather than shut them down.
Cultivating the right questions. Okay.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this entire approach profoundly challenges the very definition of what gaining knowledge quickly can even mean for a leader, or frankly for anyone trying to stay informed today.
Right, because we're always trying to absorb more, faster.
Exactly. And this suggests it's not about breadth of information, but maybe about depth of understanding. The core concept here is this koan-inspired approach,
Koans, right.
which, drawing from those East Asian philosophical traditions Lóng Tíng is rooted in, forms the very backbone of the series. Each episode, as he describes it, begins with a koan.
Which is like a poetic impulse?
Yeah, a poetic impulse, a statement, or maybe a question that just refuses to be solved in a purely logical, linear way. These aren't riddles with one clever answer you can figure out.
Okay, so not a puzzle to crack.
No, not at all. Instead, they are invitations. Invitations to a different kind of engagement designed to kind of bypass the purely analytical mind and access something deeper, maybe more intuitive.
How does that work in practice?
Well, they invite you to listen differently, he says. Not just to the words themselves, but to the silence between them. Maybe to the implications that resonate within you.
Internally.
Yes, internally within yourself for personal reflection. That's definitely part of it. But critically, it's also about opening space within your organization.
Ah, okay. Not just personal.
Right. Opening space for new possibilities, for maybe unarticulated truths, or for collective wisdom to emerge, things that checklists might actually suppress. And the questions posed in the series are equally unique. They're described as sometimes unsettling, sometimes comforting, and crucially, they whisper rather than declare.
Whisper rather than declare. I like that. It's very different from typical business advice.
It really is. Most business advice tends to announce solutions with absolute certainty, doesn't it?
Yeah, do these 5 things.
Exactly. Instead of telling you what to do, these koans and questions invite profound introspection, quiet contemplation, and a deeply personal, open-ended exploration of what leadership means in your specific, unique context and what it asks of you. It's very personal, very reflective.
And it's important to note this isn't just him rehashing his book, right?
No, definitely not. He's very clear on that point. This special is not a summary of the study companion book, nor is it just, an audio extract lifted from it.
So what is it then?
He calls it a resonant expansion.
A resonant expansion. Okay, what does that mean?
Well, think of it less like a summary and maybe more like a musical composition. You have a core theme, right, from the study companion.
Okay.
And the series then builds upon it, exploring variations, finding new harmonies, maybe digging into deeper emotional resonance, rather than just replaying the original melody note for note.
Ah, I see. So it takes the core ideas and lets them breathe, applies them.
Yeah, exactly. It's about translating the spirit of the study companion, its underlying philosophy, its quiet wisdom, its deep roots in, say, East Asian thought, into the live and practice of organizations today.
Making it practical in a way.
Practical in a deeper sense. It's an evolution, a deeper breath that allows the original ideas to expand and resonate in new ways, connecting organically with the really intricate realities and daily challenges that leaders face in our complex global landscape now. It's about making that sometimes abstract wisdom feel tangible for the modern leader.
So as we journey deeper into this series, particularly in the overview episode, An Invitation to Inner Leadership, and the intro episode between Breath and Blueprint.
The starting points.
Yeah, we encounter this foundational invitation, right? A bedrock principle that seems to underpin everything else. It's this quiet call to stillness.
Yes, still.
And it's beautifully compared to lighting a single lantern at the entrance of a long corridor. That imagery immediately sets a tone, doesn't it? Quiet contemplation, entering a space where the usual noise and urgency just fades away.
A pause, a deliberate pause.
It is a profound pause. And the core opening line, it just sets the stage for everything that follows, almost like a challenge to the, prevailing business dogma. Leadership does not start with strategy. It starts with stillness.
That line really lands, doesn't it?
It does. It's a truly radical statement in our fast-paced, always-on world, where we often equate leadership with constant action, rapid decision-making, aggressive forward motion.
Doing.
Right. And LóngTíng suggests that true, impactful leadership emerges not from all that frantic activity, but from a profound inner calm. A cultivated space of quiet clarity. It's like finding your inner anchor before you even try to navigate the external storms.
And that emphasis on stillness naturally leads us to a really crucial question, one that challenges the very current of modern business, I think.
Yes.
In an era completely obsessed with disruption, rapid scaling, and that whole mantra of move fast and break things, what profound wisdom could possibly lie in the concept of a stay company?
A stay company? That sounds almost passive. Or counterintuitive, at least.
It does sound counterintuitive, doesn't it? But LóngTíng really digs into the rationale behind this emphasis on rootedness. He notes that the pressing, interconnected global challenges we face today, climate change, social inequality, you name it, they demand organizations that truly stay.
Okay, but stay how? Not just stagnate.
No, definitely not stagnate. He's not talking about just surviving. It's about thriving through deep, enduring rootedness. He introduces this concept of the stay company, which is far more than just a legal structure or a business entity. He actually describes it as a cultivation field.
A cultivation field, that's an interesting analogy.
It is, isn't it? Just like a field is tended, nourished, allowed to regenerate, a state company, he says, does not burn fast and disappear, but grows roots, creates value across generations, protects and regenerates.
Wow. Across generations.
Exactly. Imagine a business that thinks not just in terms of quarterly earnings, but in terms of centuries.
That's mind-blowing for most companies.
It is. A company that prioritizes long-term sustainability, genuine value creation that extends beyond just shareholders to all stakeholders, and maintains a deep, regenerative connection to its environment and its community.
So what would that look like in practice?
Well, such a company would probably be less likely to chase fleeting trends,
Yeah.
or engage in practices that deplete resources or exploit labor, precisely because its focus is on cultivating an enduring presence and ensuring longevity and positive multi-generational impact. It's a fundamental strategic shift from extraction to cultivation.
From extraction to cultivation. Okay. It's truly fascinating how Lóng Tíng frames the core intention of this special then. To explore how poetic reflection, these seemingly abstract koans, can actually guide deeply practical and strategic decisions in very real organizations. Now, for you, the listener, maybe someone prepping for a crucial board meeting or grappling with a complex product launch or even just trying to catch up quickly on a new field, this might sound at first a bit ethereal, abstract.
I can see that.
But he's very clear. Poetry here isn't just decoration. It's not about adding some flowery language to a PowerPoint slide as an afterthought.
No, it's integral.
Right. Instead, it functions as an inner compass.
An inner compass. That resonates with his whole philosophy, that bridge between inner wisdom and outer action.
But how? How do abstract poetic ideas actually translate into tangible, actionable guidance? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
I think it's about accessing a different layer of understanding, an intuitive layer perhaps, a wisdom that resides beneath the surface of just data and logic.
Okay.
It allows these deep insights to emerge from reflection, insights that can then directly inform concrete strategic choices. Think of it not as a detailed step-by-step map you follow blindly,
Right.
but more like cultivating a profound sense of direction that comes from within. A guiding clarity that helps you navigate complex terrain, even when the external maps are incomplete or maybe even misleading.
So it's about knowing where you need to go fundamentally, even if the how isn't perfectly clear yet.
Precisely. It's about that deep sense of purpose and direction. And this feels particularly resonant with his background, doesn't it? Building those bridges between ancient East Asian thought, that emphasis on reflection and inner knowing and the demands of the modern global now, finding enduring wisdom and reflection to guide present-day action.
Okay, let's dive into the individual episodes now, starting with the first one, The Seed of Legacy. This episode immediately confronts us with a really powerful, almost unsettling Koan impulse. What if your quarterly results were whispered by your great-grandchildren?
Oof. Yeah, that hits hard.
It does. It's not just a clever phrase, is it? It instantly frames that core tension that just permeates so much of modern business. The eternal conflict between the relentless demands of short-term profit.
The quarterly pressure cooker.
Exactly. The immediate pressures from the market, from investors, versus the much broader, deeper, more profound concept of long-term meaning or legacy.
Right.
It forces us as leaders, or anyone really, to fundamentally reconsider what success truly looks like beyond just the next fiscal report. Are we building something that endures or something that just extracts value and then fades away?
And that goes in. What if your quarterly results were whispered by your great-grandchildren? It really grounds the illustrative story presented in the episode, doesn't it?
Tell us about that.
Well, it features a fictional founder facing immense investor pressure. A scenario I think countless real-world leaders would recognize immediately.
Oh, absolutely.
This founder is battling the temptation to scale really quickly, really aggressively, potentially at the expense of their original purpose, their founding values, maybe the very integrity of what they set out to create in the first place.
That resonates. The pressure to hit those aggressive growth targets, expand maybe before you're ready, cut corners on ethics or employee well-being just to boost immediate profitability.
Yeah.
It's intense.
It is. And the episode, by presenting this kind of scenario, really highlights how crucial it is to stay aligned with that founding vision, those core values, even when the market is screaming for speed and short-term gains above all else.
So Practically, then, how do we actually build decision frameworks that genuinely include future generations as stakeholders? That seems like a huge leap.
It is a huge leap. And it goes beyond just traditional ESG metrics, environmental, social, governance.
Right, which often feel like compliance, mostly.
Exactly. ESG often focuses on current compliance or maybe just minimizing negative impact. This is different. It's about truly embedding long-term regenerative impact into the very DNA of decision-making.
Okay, but what would that actually look like? Give me an example.
Well, maybe. Maybe it means establishing something like a legacy steward board alongside the traditional board of directors.
A legacy steward board. Interesting.
Yeah, where every major strategic move, a new product line, a market entry, a big supply chain shift, is evaluated not just for its next quarter return, but for its multi-generational impact, its impact on the natural environment, its contribution to societal well-being decades down the line.
Asking that tough question.
Right, asking, will our great-grandchildren thank us for this decision? Or will they inherit its unintended, perhaps even catastrophic, consequences? It fundamentally shifts the entire paradigm of accountability from the quarterly report to the generational inheritance. It's truly playing the long game.
And for you, the listener, the reflection invitation at the end of this episode is particularly potent, isn't it? It doesn't just give you an answer. It poses these guiding questions for deep personal contemplation, really encouraging you to internalize this tension. It makes you ask yourself, am I building for tomorrow's immediate gain, or am I building for a century from now? Am I creating something that genuinely endures and adds value beyond my own lifetime?
And what whispers from my future self or from those future generations am I choosing to ignore right now, or choosing to courageously embrace in my decisions today?
Yeah. It's an invitation to cultivate a really deep sense of responsibility that transcends the immediate pressures. #B. Episode 2, The Rhythm of Responsibility. Okay, moving on to the second episode, The Rhythm of Responsibility. The Cohen impulse here is equally evocative, I think. It paints such a powerful image.
Yeah.
Can responsibility move like bamboo in the wind?
Bamboo. Such a potent symbol in East Asian thought. Resilience, flexibility, rootedness.
Exactly. It immediately brings to mind something truly agile and resilient. It contrasts that rigid, unyielding, maybe rule-bound understanding of responsibility.
Like an oak tree that snaps.
Right, versus something far more dynamic, alive, responsive, and deeply context-aware. It's not just about adhering to a static set of rules or ticking off compliance boxes.
Oh.
Instead, it envisions an ethical responsiveness that kind of flows, bends, and adapts with integrity rather than just breaking under pressure. It's about that flexibility anchored in really strong roots.
And what's truly fascinating here, I think, is this fundamental shift, moving from a static, rule-based, perhaps even burdensome view of responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility as a weight.
Exactly, to something fluid, living, integrated. The episode explores how organizational responsibility can manifest as something alive and relational, moving far beyond just mere compliance with external regulations.
So how does that manifest? What are the examples?
Well, think about governance models that truly embody this adaptability. Things like steward ownership, perhaps.
Steward ownership. Explain that briefly.
It's where the company's purpose and long-term health are legally prioritized over maximizing individual profit extraction. The company essentially owns itself, guided by stewards focused on its mission.
Okay, got it.
Or consider regenerative principles, which aim to embed ecological and social well-being into every single action and decision, moving beyond just do no harm to actively do good and restore.
Right, regeneration, not just sustainability.
Precisely. And adaptive planning, another key concept mentioned, allows an organization to respond to unforeseen circumstances with agility and integrity rather than being shackled by, say, outdated blueprints or a rigid 5-year plan that no longer fits reality.
This contrasts so sharply with that rigid checkbox mentality where responsibility is just about adhering to the letter of the law, often completely missing the spirit of ethical action.
Absolutely. And to make this more concrete, more felt, the episode even includes a short inner breathing practice.
Oh, interesting, like a guided meditation.
Sort of. It invites listeners to physically imagine responsibility not as that heavy burden or crushing weight pressing down on them, but as a natural flowing rhythm, much like bamboo swing gracefully and resiliently in the wind. This mental, even physical shift can profoundly change how leaders approach ethical dilemmas, fostering a more intuitive, empathetic, and responsive sense of duty.
So it becomes part of you, not just a rule book.
Exactly. It's about internalizing responsibility, so it becomes a part of your organizational DNA, not just some external requirement you have to meet.
It makes me wonder, though, In a world that often demands quick, definitive answers, isn't there a risk that this bamboo in the wind approach could be perceived as, I don't know, indecisiveness or maybe a lack of firm boundaries, especially when you're navigating really complex ethical issues?
That's a crucial point, a really important question.
How do you maintain the integrity of your values while staying so adaptable?
And that's precisely where the depth of this Cohen-inspired approach comes into play, I believe. It's not about being indecisive, it's about informed agility. It's wisdom in action.
Informed agility, okay.
Think about the bamboo again. The roots provide the unwavering principles, those core values, that long-term legacy we just talked about.
Yeah.
They don't change.
Right, the anchor.
The sway, the movement, is the wisdom in applying those principles flexibly and ethically within a dynamic, complex reality. A rigid company might just break when faced with a sudden ethical dilemma, trying to force an old rule onto a totally new situation.
Yeah, I can see that.
But a company that practices the rhythm of responsibility, as the episode calls it, has cultivated the internal capacity to discern the spirit of its values.
The spirit, not just the letter.
Exactly. And adapt its response without compromising integrity. It's about deep ethical discernment, not moral relativism. It's about asking, what is the right way to embody our core values in this specific, evolving context? And that takes profound inner clarity, not just a rule book. It takes presence. Hashtag tag tag to me. Episode 3, Listening is Strategy.
Okay, episode 3, Listening as Strategy. And the Cohen here is fascinating. Who speaks when a company listens?
That really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Who does speak?
It does. And this isn't just about, encouraging employees to speak up or having the obligatory open door policy as a kind of nice to have HR thing.
No, it goes much deeper.
Right. This series positions these deeply cultivated listening cultures in organizations not merely as a soft HR practice, but as a profound, often completely overlooked strategic advantage.
Strategic advantage. That's key.
It elevates listening from just being a polite courtesy to being a core component of how an organization actually perceives its environment, adapts, innovates, and maybe even generates revenue.
It's about intelligence gathering, in a way, but a much richer form of it.
Exactly. It's about truly hearing what's being said, yes, but perhaps even more importantly, what's not being said, what's hidden in the periphery. What are you hearing from all corners, internal and external?
And this is where the real-world application becomes incredibly potent, I think, where the practical implications of this inner leadership stuff truly manifest. Because building structures for authentic organizational listening, that goes way beyond passive annual surveys or a dusty suggestion box that rarely gets looked at.
So what does it look like?
It means actively seeking out and genuinely valuing weak signals from the periphery, those faint whispers of emerging trends or unmet customer needs, or maybe brewing problems that aren't yet obvious in the quantitative data.
Finding the signals in the noise.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It means listening intently to the unfiltered experiences of frontline staff, who often hold just invaluable insights into customer needs and operational inefficiencies that managers sitting further away might never see or hear.
The view from the ground.
Absolutely. And it means genuinely engaging with community voices, even those perhaps, especially those that might offer critical or uncomfortable perspectives about the company's impact.
That takes courage too, doesn't it, to listen to criticism?
It does. And the example provided in the series is so compelling, really illustrates this transformative power. A company that completely changed its entire supply chain practice after deeply listening to a single farmer's story.
Wow. One farmer's story changed the whole supply chain.
According to the story, yes. This wasn't just a minor tweak to a process. It was a fundamental reevaluation of their sourcing strategy, their partnerships, potentially their entire business model, all born from a single deeply heard narrative.
Just imagine the implications of that.
Well, you could have improved ethical sourcing, right? Which leads to enhanced brand reputation, maybe stronger customer loyalty, stronger community relations, fostering a more supportive ecosystem around the company. Perhaps even uncovering new market opportunities or efficiencies that just wouldn't be visible from a purely top-down command and control perspective.
So that deep, empathic listening, it allows a company to become more resilient, more innovative, more aligned with all its stakeholders.
That's the idea. It's about creating feedback loops that are not just transactional, give us feedback, but truly transformative, leading to profound insights that can genuinely shape an organization's strategic direction and unlock value that was previously unseen. It's almost like using empathy as a strategic tool.
Empathy as a strategic tool. I like that framing. So, okay, if listening is indeed a strategic advantage, How can a leader, maybe someone listening right now, who's preparing for a crucial negotiation or trying to understand complex market shifts, move beyond just hearing and truly implement listening as strategy? How do you build those structures in a practical sense, especially when time is always so scarce?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question again, isn't it? The practical how. It really requires a deliberate cultural shift, starting from the top.
Culture change is hard.
It is. But practically, it starts with cultivating time and space, specifically for listening, not just for speaking or deciding.
Okay, dedicated time.
Maybe this involves regular listening circles instead of only traditional meetings, where the explicit purpose is not to decide, but simply to hear diverse perspectives fully.
Listening circles.
It means empowering frontline staff to share observations without fear of retribution, making it psychologically safe to bring difficult truths or uncomfortable news to light.
Psychological safety. Crucial.
Absolutely. It might even mean assigning dedicated listening roles within project teams, people whose specific job it is to synthesize the emergent narratives, the qualitative insights, not just crunch the quantitative data.
A designated listener.
Perhaps. And most importantly, it means leaders modeling this behavior themselves, asking truly open-ended questions, demonstrating genuine curiosity, resisting the urge to always have the answer immediately, showing humility.
Leading by example.
Exactly. It's about understanding that the time spent truly listening isn't a cost center. It's a vital investment in deeper intelligence, stronger relationships, and better decisions. It's about consciously moving from a culture obsessed with answers to a culture that values profound questions and deep listening. #DC. Episode 4, The Ethics of Growth.
All right, episode 4, The Ethics of Growth. Now, this one feels like a direct, pretty bold challenge to one of the most pervasive, almost unquestioned narratives in the business world today.
Growth, the holy grail.
Exactly. It's Poian asks, what if growth was not movement, but deepening?
Sit with that for a moment. Not movement, but deepening.
It's radical, isn't it? Almost subversive. A direct challenge to the common understanding of growth as just endless expansion, constant scaling, ever-increasing quantitative metrics, pushing into new territories.
Bigger, faster, more.
Right. This Carwin asks us to just pause, take a breath, and consider a fundamentally different kind of progress. One that might be slower, perhaps less dramatic on the surface, but ultimately maybe far more resilient and meaningful.
And this Cohen, what if growth was not movement, but deepening? It truly raises that important, almost confronting question for modern business. How do we even begin to measure deepening in a world that overwhelmingly only seems to value expanding and scaling?
Yeah, how do you measure it? What does it look like?
Well, the episode introduces this crucial, often overlooked idea of qualitative growth.
Qualitative growth. Okay.
This isn't about simply getting bigger in terms of market share or employee count or revenue necessarily. It's about becoming better.
Better, not just bigger.
Exactly. It's about depth, refinement, the richness of relationships, the quality of impact, rather than just sheer volume or reach.
Can you give an analogy?
LóngTíng uses a beautiful and really evocative analogy to illustrate this. The tea ceremony.
Ah, the tea ceremony. Okay.
Imagine a master of the tea ceremony. Their growth isn't measured by how many ceremonies they perform in a day or how many people they serve. That would miss the point entirely.
Right.
It's measured by the profound refinement of each single gesture over a lifetime of dedicated practice. The increasing presence, the grace, the depth infused into every single aspect of the ritual.
Okay, I see the analogy. So how does that translate to an organization?
For an organization, this could mean focusing intensely on the quality of customer relationships, for example, fostering genuine loyalty and deep trust rather than just chasing higher customer acquisition numbers.
Deeper relationships, not just more customers.
Right. Or it could mean deepening employee engagement and well-being, cultivating a thriving internal culture where individuals genuinely flourish rather than simply increasing headcount for the sake of size.
Investing in people?
Yes. Or it might involve the constant refinement of internal processes to be more elegant, more efficient in a deeper sense, perhaps more regenerative, rather than just faster or cheaper. It's about intensifying the positive impact within your existing boundaries, perhaps, before rushing to expand them.
Intensifying impact.
And this approach also demands new practical anchors, right?
Yeah.
New ways to define and measure success beyond just the traditional financial indicators.
Like new KPIs.
Exactly. We're talking about KPI frameworks designed for quality and regenerative value.
What would those look like? Can you speculate?
Well, instead of just measuring units sold, maybe you track something like a customer relationship depth score. assessing the level of trust and mutual value in long-term partnerships.
Okay.
Beyond just revenue growth, maybe you could measure a community benefit index, reflecting the tangible positive impact your company has on local ecosystems and societal well-being.
Tracking positive impact.
Or perhaps an ecosystem health regeneration index that tracks how your operations actively contribute to environmental restoration, not just minimize harm. These are the kinds of metrics that challenge leaders to think beyond the quarterly earnings report and consider a truly holistic return on investment, one that includes social, environmental, and relational capital. It's a call to elevate purpose and quality right alongside profit.
It's a really compelling idea, that shift to qualitative growth, but I can just imagine a CEO maybe listening now in a highly competitive market that they might feel a significant tension here.
Oh, absolutely. The tension is real.
How do you convince shareholders or even your own team sometimes to embrace deepening as a primary growth strategy when the market, and often those powerful investor expectations, are still overwhelmingly focused on traditional quantitative expansion? Isn't there a huge risk of falling behind your competitors?
That's a very real and understandable tension, no doubt about it. And it really highlights the kind of courage required for this type of inner leadership we're discussing.
Courage again.
Yes. The key, I think, lies in effectively communicating the long-term value proposition of deepening. While traditional, purely quantitative growth might offer rapid, sometimes impressive, but often unsustainable spikes.
The sugar rush?
Kind of, yeah. Qualitative growth, on the other hand, builds profound resilience, deep loyalty, and lasting value that's actually much harder for competitors to replicate quickly.
Can you think of examples?
Well, think of companies that have deliberately chosen to focus on quality, ethics, and purpose over relentless breakneck expansion. Patagonia often comes up as an example.
Right.
There are certain family-owned businesses that consciously prioritize legacy and sustainability over a rapid IPO and cashing out. They often command greater consumer trust, sometimes premium pricing, and incredibly deep customer loyalty.
So the conversation with shareholders isn't about abandoning growth entirely.
No, not at all. It's about redefining it. It's about showing convincingly that deepening actually leads to more robust, more sustainable, and ultimately more valuable enterprises over the long run, even if the immediate quarterly numbers aren't always as flashy or explosive.
Proving the long-term case.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating that things like trust, quality, and community benefit are indeed leading indicators for enduring financial success, not just nice-to-haves. It also involves potentially educating the market, gradually shifting the narrative, and maybe attracting investors who share that similar long-term regenerative vision. It's a significant cultural shift, absolutely, one that has to start at the top and radiate outward, demonstrating that true strength often comes from inner refinement and rootedness, not just outer expansion and speed. #TagTagEat. Episode 5, Courage in Slow Motion.
Okay, our penultimate episode in this mini-series brings us to courage in slow motion. And the koan here, this one really resonated with me. Can courage walk rather than run?
Walk rather than run. It paints a picture of deliberation, doesn't it? Steadfastness.
It really does. This theme feels like it's all about a different kind of bravery, not the dramatic, heroic charge into battle, the flashy stuff.
No headline-grabbing moves.
Right, but quiet endurance. It's about the courage to remain steadfast, to stay when the market or the trends or the pressure dictates you should move on, pivot, chase the next shiny object.
Or when the easier path lies elsewhere.
Exactly. It's about keeping promises even when the initial hype inevitably fades, or when the easy money dries up, or when those external pressures are really pushing you off course. This feels like more than just resilience, which is about bouncing back. This feels like a deeper form of unwavering commitment. A steadfastness that holds true to core values and that long-term vision, even amidst intense pressure and those fleeting seductive trends.
And this quiet courage, this courage in slow motion, it's vividly illustrated by a really powerful real-world example described in the series.
What's the example?
It describes a company that made the incredibly difficult decision to refuse a very lucrative deal because the potential partner was found to be violating its core human rights commitments.
Wow. Walking away from a big deal on principle.
Exactly. Think about the profound ethical and frankly practical implications of a decision like that. It requires immense conviction, incredible clarity of purpose to walk away from a significant financial gain, consciously prioritizing integrity and human decency over immediate profit and market advantage.
That's not a flashy, heroic act you see on the news.
No, not usually. It's often a quiet, determined refusal to compromise on deeply held values. It demonstrates a form of leadership that is profoundly rooted in ethics, especially when it means making a hard choice that might not be immediately popular with investors or seem efficient in the short term. It's a perfect example of leading from that inner compass we talked about earlier.
And navigating the internal pressures must be huge, too.
Immense. The board might question the financial hit. Sales teams might be deeply disappointed. Competitors might jump in and seize the opportunity you just passed up.
Yeah.
Yet, this act of courage in slow motion, as the series frames it, ultimately builds a deeper, more enduring form of trust. Trust with employees who see their values reflected. Trust with customers who increasingly value ethical practices, and ultimately trust with the broader community. It solidifies the company's true identity and powerfully reinforces its long-term legacy.
It makes the values real.
Precisely. And the episode leaves the listener with such a vital reflection, one that you can take directly into your own context, your own organization. Where in your organization would staying require more courage than moving?
Oof, that's a tough one.
It is. It's not an easy question to answer, honestly. But it's one that forces a deeper examination of what true commitment really means. Whether it's commitment to an ethical standard, to an employee, to a long-term vision, to a community partnership, or even just to an internal principle when facing intense external pressures. It really asks us to look inward and define what true courage means in our daily leadership practice, beyond the bluster.
And what's particularly potent about this, connecting back, is how it links to that broader idea of a stay company we discussed. This kind of quiet, steadfast courage is precisely what allows an organization to truly embed those deep roots and endure, rather than just being swept away by the next market wave or succumbing to short-term greed or panic.
It is the courage to be patient, isn't it? The courage to be principled, and the courage to genuinely play the long game, even when the short game seems so much more rewarding momentarily.
So as we move towards the conclusion of this really extraordinary series, we arrive at the closing episode, A Legacy of Presence.
The final reflection.
Yeah, and what's striking is that it's explicitly described not as a traditional summary, that neatly ties up all the loose ends with a bow.
No bullet points of takeaways.
No. Instead, it's framed as a soft landing. It doesn't end with a bang, but actually begins with silence.
Silence, which is such a poignant, intentional choice, isn't it? Especially given the series' overarching emphasis on stillness, deep reflection, inner quiet.
It perfectly underscores the whole theme. And then after that silence, it offers a final, truly profound koan, one that resonates so deeply after everything we've discussed. What remains when nothing is left to achieve?
Wow. Yeah, that question just cuts right to the core, doesn't it? The very essence of existence, of purpose, and ultimately of leadership legacy beyond accomplishments.
It really does.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the entire series feels like it culminates in this powerful yet deceptively simple idea that maybe our most impactful and enduring leadership doesn't come from doing more, but from simply being more, being fully present.
Being present.
Yes. The closing episode doesn't just invite you to think about presence intellectually. It really challenges you, the listener, to actively practice presence as your daily organizational leadership.
Practice presence. Okay.
It's a profound shift, isn't it? Moving from the traditional focus on doing more, achieving more, expanding more, to a deeper, more qualitative emphasis on simply being more, being fully aware, fully engaged, fully attentive in each moment.
How does Lóng unpack that?
Well, he uses this profound statement, not to lead the company forward, but to lead it deeper.
Not forward, but deeper. That's a key aha moment, isn't it? Especially for someone seeking those transformative insights.
I think so.
But how does cultivating presence actually lead to deeper insights and better decision-making? Can we make that link clearer?
Well, the series suggests that by being fully present, by truly listening without formulating your reply, by embracing stillness before launching into action, by questioning those conventional notions of growth we talked about, leaders can access a kind of wisdom that goes beyond mere analytical processing.
An intelligence beyond data.
Perhaps. This deep presence allows for a more intuitive, maybe more holistic understanding of complex situations. It fosters clarity, empathy, and a more profound sense of purpose, which in turn, the thinking goes, leads to more effective, more sustainable, and ultimately more regenerative outcomes. Your presence becomes the very foundation for everything else you do.
So it's the invisible foundation.
Exactly. It is the silent, unwavering root that allows your organization and your leadership to flourish. Much like, perhaps, that bamboo path leading toward a quiet mountain temple he evokes presence, invites deeper wisdom.
So it's not about ticking off the last item on some grand to-do list of achievements.
No.
It's about cultivating a state of being, an inner quality that informs all action. It's an ongoing cultivation, isn't it, rather than a final destination or achievement.
Beautifully put. An ongoing cultivation that feels exactly right.
Now, one of the most unique and, I think, really thoughtful aspects of Lóng Tíng's whole approach here is precisely how he positions this series itself.
Well,
He explains it's not simply a season of content, something you binge listen to and then forget about next week.
right, not disposable content.
No. Instead, he frames it as a companion, a gentle, supportive presence walking beside you on your own leadership journey.
A companion. That framing itself emphasizes a continuous, ongoing relationship, doesn't it? A persistent source of support and reflection, rather than just a finite set of episodes to consume and then discard.
Exactly. And this concept of a companion also implies incredible flexibility in how you engage with it.
How so?
Well, you can listen to the episodes in sequence, naturally, to follow the overarching arc and the progression of the ideas. Or, and this is key, you can return to just a single one. Maybe the koan that resonated most deeply with you or the theme that feels most relevant right now, whenever a situation in your own leadership asks for it.
So it becomes a resource to revisit.
Exactly. It's designed to be a living resource, always there, ready to offer a moment of quiet reflection, maybe a fresh perspective, or just a new question precisely when you need it most. It feels very personal, adaptable, and kind of ever-present in that way.
And this positioning as a companion truly raises an important question for all of us, I think.
Yeah.
How often do we really allow ourselves to pause in moments of discomfort? Or, conversely, how often do we truly linger in moments of resonance or warmth in our incredibly busy professional lives?
Rarely, probably. We tend to push through discomfort and maybe quickly move on from resonance.
We do.
Yeah.
And the series offers crucial guidance for this kind of active personal engagement, moving way beyond just passive consumption of ideas. Lóng Tíng advises, with what feels like profound wisdom, if at any point you feel discomfort, pause.
Pause and discomfort. That's hard advice.
It is. But then he adds, that discomfort may already be the beginning of transformation.
Wow.
It's incredibly insightful, isn't it? It reframes discomfort not as something negative to avoid or push through or numb out, but as a vital signal. An indicator that something within you or maybe within your organization is shifting, that perhaps a new understanding is trying to emerge. It's a call to actually lean into the unease, gently.
And what about the other side? Resonance.
And conversely, he says, if at any point you feel warmth or resonance, stay a little longer. That may be the seed of a new way forward.
Stay with the warmth. Linger.
Yes, linger. This encourages a deep, almost intuitive form of learning, I think. It's about trusting your inner compass, allowing those moments of profound connection or those aha insights to actually deepen and potentially blossom into new perspectives, new strategies, or maybe just new, more aligned actions.
So it's trusting your inner signals.
Absolutely. It's a testament to the idea that true learning and sustainable growth often come not from constantly seeking external directives or chasing the next big thing, but from deeply listening to our own internal signals and cultivating that profound inner wisdom. This series actively invites that kind of personal and profoundly introspective engagement. Hashtag tag outro.
So what does all of this really mean for you, the listener? You, the leader, the learner, the person seeking that genuine depth in a world just saturated with endless information. This deep dive and the really powerful series by Lóng Tíng that we've explored together today, well, it isn't an endpoint, is it?
No, definitely not.
It feels very much like a beginning. Even if you just walk away with one single sentence that sticks, or one profound question that keeps echoing, or maybe just one remembered moment of stillness that reverberates within you, you've already gained immense value, haven't you? The work, in a way, has already begun within you, like a seed planted that will hopefully grow from within.
And what's truly fascinating here is how Lóng Tíng himself echoes that exact sentiment. He makes it abundantly clear that this isn't the end of a series you've simply listened to,
Right.
but rather the beginning of a deeper, ongoing conversation.
A conversation between
you and your organization, perhaps. Between your deepest intentions and your actual daily actions. Between your cultivated presence and your profound sense of responsibility.
an ongoing dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's an invitation to return whenever needed, maybe to press play again on these profound reflections when a situation calls for it, or perhaps even more powerfully, simply to close your eyes for one quiet breath, Cultivate that inner stillness he speaks of, and just listen. Listen to what is already waiting within you.
Until then, maybe consider this. What would it look like for your leadership right where you are, in your unique context, to not always hurry ahead of the world, constantly chasing what's next,
Hmm.
but instead to learn to walk alongside it with quiet clarity, unwavering courage, and profound care?
And building on that, how might integrating these Koan-inspired insights, these invitations to stillness, these challenges to conventional growth, these calls for deep empathic listening, and that quiet practice of courage and slow motion, how might that fundamentally shift your approach? Your approach to the daily challenges, the inevitable tensions you face, and ultimately the enduring legacy you truly aspire to create.
Some deep questions to ponder. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into inner leadership. We genuinely hope these profound ideas stay with you, perhaps guiding your path forward in some small way.